some of us learned some things about the contract to close process. Some of us were reminded of some things concerning the contract to close process. Some of us were able to get insight into how we can become more systematic about the contract to close process. And more importantly, some revelation about how much of the contract to close process can be delegated to support, such as a transaction coordinator, or if you have a dedicated virtual assistant. And so today is part 4. We've gone all the way from day 1, day 29, and today is day 30. I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat, those who have been with us all week, but we do have some new faces. I'm gonna go up here and put our slides up really quickly. In the chat is the handout. So today we have slides and the handout. So the handout that we've been using for the past prior 3 weeks is updated to include today's closing day task. And then we also have it here on the screen. But in the chat is a link to the handout so that you guys can make sure that you have that. So you will have all days 1 through day 30 in a handout fashion. And again, like I said, we also have the slides on the screen. All right. So closing day essentials, delivering a 5-star experience. Let's see here. For those who I have not had an opportunity to meet, of course, the majority of the time, those that are in the room are those that are with us each Thursday. But for those who I have not had a chance to meet before, a virtual hello to you. My name is Ray Cole Jackson. I'm a South Florida real estate attorney. A little bit about me personally, just so you can know kind of who I am. We've never met before, and kind of figuring out how I got to have this discussion with you guys each Thursday. Personally, I am originally from Florida. I attended the University of Florida for undergrad, went on, I'm a South Florida real estate attorney. I attended Santa Clara University School of Law for law school, came back home to Miami, got my LLM in real property development from the University of Miami School of Law. And I am a proud licensed Florida real estate sales professional and a mortgage loan officer. So each Thursday with this community, we have hey, Luckner, I just saw you Tuesday, right? Each Thursday, we come together and we discuss a particular topic in conjunction with the association. So this month's discussion has been powered by Title Experts, our title insurance and settlement services firm, because our discussions is related to the contract to close process. Many of you we obviously work with, but for those of you who we've not had a chance to work with before, we welcome you to a Title Experts closing experience. New contracts are sent to closings@titleexperts.com. Our telephone number, if you need to give us a call, 561-510-2294. Good to see a lot of you coming in from the contracts class on Tuesday. Hey, Holly. All right. So, hey, Helen.
Hey.
What's up? Holly was like asking a lot of questions on Tuesday. I'm glad to see you today.
Yeah, thanks. I was bragging on you to my manager today.
Who are you with?
Yeah, you're a great teacher.
Which office are you with?
Illustrated.
Oh, cool. Yes. Nice. I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, thanks. You
so
too.
Good to see you on this side. So on Thursdays, Holly, you jumped into session 4 of a 4-part training we've been doing over this past month about the contract to close process. And also anyone else who's joined us from Tuesday, the contract to close process. And so we have separate trainings where we've talked specifically about the contract to close process from the Realtor side. That's our anatomy of a transaction. The substantive side of it, we talked about the contract to close process, where we watched the closing table and showed you how the closing team clears a file from contract to closing, right? But these particular sessions were about the closing experience, right? It's about not just the substantive understanding of what's happening, but executing the task that are associated with the contract to close process, whether you represent the buyer or the seller, right? And so we talked about creating your timeline. or based on your contract, right? So measuring from your effective date to your deadlines, earnest money deposit, inspection period, homeowners insurance, following up with the lender to make sure that you have the application is completed, that the loan approval has been completed, right? Sending status updates to the customer so that they are kept in the loop concerning the contract to close process, right? And so, Minnie, go ahead and drop in the chat again because we have some people that are coming in. For those of you that are just come in the chat, again, we have the handout, which has the high level steps from session 1 now to session 4 today. And then on the screen, we also have our slide deck presentation. All right. So session 4, closing day essentials, delivering a 5-star experience. Why this matters. Closing day is more important than signing paperwork, right? It's the moment that your client's real estate goals are accomplished, whether you're representing the buyer or the seller, they both sought out with a goal. One person's goal was to sell property, sell a piece of real estate, and the other person's goals was to purchase. And so this is the day that you commemorate, and you want it to be a celebration of your customers completing that goal, and you as well, along with them. And even all of the professionals that you work with, the closing team, the lending team, right? Your transaction coordinator. Every time we close, it is a celebration of a goal accomplished, right? I told you guys in one of the earlier sessions why I enjoy transactions versus litigation. In litigation, as an attorney, we're going in 2 different directions, right? You believe is one thing, I believe is another. We are both pulling in 2 separate directions, but with transactions, the thought process is that we all have the goal to meet at the same point, which is a settled or a closed and funded, right? A completed, a consummated transaction. And so for that reason, I would say that transactions should be, they should be kind of less contentious than they are, right? They should be less contentious. Now, some things are out of our control. Some things are out of our control concerning the contract to close process. But what we've been talking about for the past 4 weeks, these things are completely in our control. And that is making sure that the steps of the contract to close process are executed in a very efficient, non-hectic, non-chaotic way. All right. So by managing the details, the milestones with care, and creating a memorable client experience, you can turn your closings into opportunities for referrals, testimonials, and long-term relationships. It should be the springboard for more business, right? A closing should be the springboard. It should be the seed for more business. It shouldn't be oh, all right, well, nice to meet you. And maybe I'll hear from you again, when you sell, right? Or when you buy at some point. No, at that point, that customer should be now in your database. They are part of your client base. They're part of your community, right? And so we want to make sure that we look at it that way. And so again, everything that we talked about leading up to today was for the purpose of putting your best foot forward for not only your client experience, but also for your business as well, right? So that you can continue to do other things in your business and not be just consumed with this contract to close process. So we're on day 30. We're on day 30. Again, you have the handout where we have a recap of what we've discussed all the way up to day 29. Today, we're going to focus on day 30. Today, day 30 should be like, whew, we made, right? You should feel that way. In fact, at day 30 of your closing process, and even today, as we complete this conversation, because of the last 3 weeks, I know I've been throwing a lot at you guys, like, and don't forget this, and don't forget that, and don't forget this, and remember that. Now today, you can feel like, oof, we made it. So we've broken up today in about 3 different sections, right? So morning of the closing. Conduct final walkthrough with your client to verify property condition. Now, this ties into the contract, right? Because I've mentioned to you guys before, I do not recommend that you do a walkthrough day before, couple days before, week before. I recommend that you do a walkthrough. I keep taking my eye, my lash in my eye. I recommend that you do your walkthrough as close to closing as possible. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. Stranger things have happened. And I always tell you guys a joke. I feel like the walls have ears. All of a sudden, pipes break, ACs go out. I've had situations where appliances were stolen. I've had a situation where a squatter was in the house. Now that was an outlier. That was crazy. But there was a squatter in the house when they went for the walkthrough. So I recommend to you guys that you do your walkthrough right before closing. Now, in day 28 and 29, we've already suggested that the cash to close wire be made, right? And so I know oftentimes so someone's thinking, well, they have to do walkthrough, they have to do the wire. No, that should have been done 2 days ago, at the very least yesterday, day 29. We talked about this, right? Because in day 28 and 29, I see you guys questions in the chat. We'll make sure we answer the questions at the end. On day 29, day 28 and 29, you should be on day 28. Remember, we talked about if you have a finance transaction and you're representing the buyer, we recommended that you get a clear to close 2 business days before. I told you guys about how once you get a lender's clear to close, that's just a domino that knocks down a whole host of other tasks that have to be completed. Like a lot of tasks, right? Like the gap search I told you guys about. I told you guys that the title team is going to run a gap search from the time that first title commitment was run when the file came in up till now. And that if anything comes up on that title commitment, it has to be resolved, right? I told you guys that they have to match and balance with the lender, meaning they're going to receive the lender's figures and match them and place them on a settlement statement with their own figures to make sure that everyone's figures match, and then therefore deliver that cash to close figure to the buyer, right? I told you that the closing team has to receive a package of documents that they have to confirm are accurate, right? Names have to be spelled correctly. Vesting has to be correct, right? Scheduling a time with the buyer. There is just so setting up funding. I mentioned to you guys on the last session that you should be sending your disbursement authorization with your wire instructions, right? With your brokerage's mailing instructions, right? There are just so many things that have to happen in the contract to close and the clear to close process that, again, you get to choose who you work with. If your partners cannot, your lending partner, and of course, if the buyer's dragging their feet, those things happen. But I'm gonna recommend that you guys hold your lenders to a standard of a clear to close 2 business days before, because as you're learning all the things that need to happen. All right. All right. Now back to the walkthrough. You're conducting the walkthrough. Many brokerages, even if they don't have it, I would suggest that you make it a part of your business practice that the client execute a walkthrough, a walkthrough agreement that they've walked through the property, that they agree that the property is in adequate condition for them to close, right? That's going to absolve you of them saying, well, I didn't know about such and such. No, here's the checklist. You walk through and you approve the condition of the property as of the walkthrough, right? So again, there are some brokerages that have this as a compliance step for you to be paid. If they do not, I recommend that you have it as a part of your process, right? Because this is your business, okay? Of course, if there's any issues, you want to document those issues. And if they are issues that should prevent closing, of course, you're going to report that right away. Like literally, I see Adrian in the chat, like we've had closings that we found out, they call back, oh, they took the chandelier, they took the brackets, they took these things that they should not, they took the appliances, right? Or there's a leak, a pipe broke in the house. I think I mentioned this on the Tuesday contract class, and any of you who've taken my contract class, I mentioned on Tuesday how I would always use the hypothetical about a hole in the floor under an area rug that's under a table, right? And that there's no way that the buyer would have known about that but for the seller disclosing it, because that's not going to come up in an inspection, right? Nobody's moving furniture and rugs and things. And do you know, I would always just use that as a hypothetical, right? And you guys know, I always say I try to use like crazy hypotheticals so that you don't forget. Well, guess what? Recently did a closing and the realtor said that actually happened to me. My buyer moved in, moved furniture that was coincidentally left, and there was a hole in the floor. So I'm only bringing it up to say, I guess I can't use it as a outlandish hypothetical anymore because it happens. Um, so I guess with that being said, guys, if there's furniture staying, move that furniture around, pull the couch out, pull the rug up, because apparently that's not as outlandish as I had thought. Okay. So those are three things that the realtor is doing. Now, the transaction coordinator, you should be confirming. Of course, you should have already had the conversation, but let's confirm the location of keys, garage door openers, remotes, codes, right? Warranties if applicable. Generally, especially, I make sure to inform realtors the transfer of keys, that's between the realtors, right? Sometimes if you're signing in person, you might leave them at the office, so on and so forth. But as a general matter, you should plan on the transfer of keys to be between the parties. And of course, as soon as the funding team confirms that the all documents are executed, funds have been dispersed, release the keys, then you go pick up the keys. Now, you guys are professionals, you're trustworthy. Most times, even I have the buyer's agent, they'll have the keys. And they realize that they just should not release the keys to their customer until it's confirmed that that closing has been completed and funded, right? We've closed and funded. So all of a sudden now, one other thing I want to point out before we jump to the next slide, we have more things for the realtor today than we've had in the past. But these are easy, right? These are your walkthrough, right? Checklist. This is not too difficult. Now at closing, this is all realtor, but this is all easy. This is all easy. We've done all the hard part over the last 29 days, right? We're at the closing table. This is at the point, guys, I want you guys to realize that even that experience was part of your marketing to your customers, right? Like, this is what it's like to work with me. This is what anyone that you refer to me can expect. Well, now we're documenting it, right? You should take photos and video of the client signing for social media marketing. So while they're signing their documents, whether you have the buyer or the seller, take photos. If your seller pre-signed and they pre-signed with the notary, take photos. If they don't want to be shown, take a picture of their hand, right? Of course, you want to make sure that they consent to the photos. Most people don't have an issue. Here and there, you may have someone like, "Oh, I'm not camera ready," but for the most part, you let them know that you want to commemorate it, and you would appreciate if you allowed them to let you be a part of promoting their business, right? So that they can continue to grow their business. So you want to take photos while they're signing. And of course, you want to take a celebratory photo once you completed the signing. I'm surprised how many agents are like, "You want to take a picture?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah." Hello. Like, always be promoting. Always be promoting. A closing, guys, is your best form of promotion, right? A closing is your best form of promotion. So you want to make sure that you document that with photos, video, right? Of course, you want to present a closing gift or personalized thank you note. I mentioned to you guys last week that I recommend that your closing gift be something that you be systematic about it, right? Not something that you have to, that's so custom that it creates friction in your business to go and get it, right? Because the goal of this, of systems in your business, and even us having this conversation so intentionally, is I want you guys to realize that the goal of this entire conversation is for you to not be so involved with all the details of the contract to close process, because it's not necessary. right? Now, of course, you want to make sure that your clients have a 5-star experience. That's why we have the checklist. That's why we have it clear of what needs to happen. But also with this, you should know that it does not have to be you, because your job is to what? Go get more contracts, go get more deals, right? Go get more listings, go get more buyers under contract, right? And so if you systematize this closing gift process, then it's something that someone else can do, right? And it can be done at the drop of a dime versus something that you have to order and make sure it comes on time. Like all those things are nice, and you can still do those things, but maybe you do that once they've already closed and it's delivered to the property. But what you have at closing could just be something that is branded for you, with your contact information, and you can just write their name in, right, with the gift card, right? Last thing, request the video testimony while the experience is fresh, right? It doesn't have to be long. It could be just, how do you feel? Like literally, how do you feel? And then they'll probably say, great, glad it's done. That's something. How do you feel? Glad it's done. Looking forward to moving in. Just little stuff. You don't have to, please don't interrogate people, right? Don't interrogate them. Don't make them feel like they've seen what others are doing in highly, what do you say, production situations. Just keep it very natural. Because literally, by the time you clip that, put it with something else, put some background music on it, now all of a sudden it looks like a fantastic production, right? Take video of yourself preparing to go to closing, right? Getting in the car, walking up to the office. All those videos can be stitched into a phenomenal reel or marketing piece for your business. All right. All right. Post closing and follow up. We've closed now. We've taken pictures. We've got the little video clip. Of course, your transaction coordinator should confirm receipt of an executed settlement statement and commission disbursement, unless you're the broker, because that is going to be delivered to your broker, right? Every broker is looking for an executed settlement statement for their compliance, right? Now, the next few steps, I have Realtor / virtual assistant. Now we're pulling in a different type of team member. And I know some of you probably thinking, Ray Cole, I haven't even gotten this transaction coordinator together. Now you're talking about a virtual assistant, like hold your horses. Well, you don't have to have one, but that's what I placed that there as a slash to you to show you where here's another area where there's something that should be done in your business, but it does not have to be done by you, right? And so that's making sure that you have a reminder for future follow-up. This is in your CRM. That's another like cringe word. Someone's like, oh my God, Rick, I don't have a CRM yet. Like you're highlighting all the things that I don't have. Well, it doesn't hurt to be reminded, right? It doesn't hurt to be reminded. You can send another thank you email, including their next steps, right? Next steps for post-closing. And again, this is whether it's the buyer or the seller. You have a sequence of emails that go out depending upon which side of the transaction they're on. If they're the seller, of course, they want to make sure the utilities are turned off with a zero balance so that they can get their water escrow back, right? If it's the buyer, you want to be telling them to make sure they file for homestead exemption, utilities are transferred, they should be changing locks probably, right? That's one of the first things they should do. You should change locks. Even though they've gotten keys, go ahead and change those locks, right? So those are the types of things that you can follow up with them about. And then, of course, we've taken these photos, we've gotten this video. Let's market. Let's make sure we don't let this good moment go to waste, right? So what are all the different ways that we can now market this closing? Now I'm gonna go off script and even just tell you guys for my some ways that, and I'm even gonna I didn't think about this. We want to make sure we plug this in our boot camp that's coming up. You guys can even market now that you have a process, a frictionless closing process, a simple close process. You can now market this. Here's what you can expect when you work with me. Now, of course, you got to make sure you get it done. Don't say that and don't do it. But well, hang around, Holly. We can fix that. Now that you have this process, this can be part of your marketing. Here's what it's like to work with me. Not only is it part of your marketing on social media, emails, doing such and such. It's part of your marketing when you conduct your listing appointment and your buyer consultation. The business has changed, guys. I think that's one of the main things that I wanted to impress upon you guys as we wrap up this month's training. And that is, we have transitioned like never before into a very professional landscape. Professional because we have a lot of rules and laws now that we have to make sure that we comply with, right? We have I would say we got a couple landmines, right? That we need to make sure that we comply with so that we don't have any issues in our business. And then we're competing with you're competing with professionals. And not only are you competing with professionals, you're competing with corporations, right? You're competing with corporations. But I am the first person to tell you that the Realtor is not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. Because customers still have questions that they may do research online, talk to a couple bots, but when it's time to pull the trigger, they want a person. They want a co-pilot. And which one of you are going to be the one that is going to present to them that you're educated, meaning you're up to date on the business, right? Which one of you are going to present to them that you can give them a 5-star experience, that you have technology, right? That you have processes and procedures just like the other corporations, because that's what's happening, guys. There's a lot of money that's being dumped into the real estate space. Real estate is the largest asset class, right? It is the largest asset class. They did, right, Adrian? This is not going away. Now, what's going to create issues for realtors is those who do not pivot. Those who think that they can do business the old school way. It's not gonna work. Don't eat your lunch. Like the realtor next to you, maybe even in the Zoom room, is gonna eat your lunch because they have systems and they have leverage. All right. So your client will remember how you made them feel on closing day, right? And can I tell you guys, here's a cheat code. Remember their last experience. Getting to closing could have been as rocky as all get out. I promise you, I see it all of the time. Getting to that point can be so rocky. However, if that closing day experience is flawless and it smooths all those bumpy edges, they'll forget all about it. I promise you, they'll forget all about it. They'll forget all about it. And so for that reason, a smooth, thoughtful experience transforms your happy buyers and even sellers into lifelong advocates of your business. Guys, I promise you, I see it all the time. Again, remember, operating a clothing firm, we're the hub. We get to hear all the conversations, all of the conversations, all the conversations. So we know who's happy and we know who's not. And so being the hub, we have the opportunity to then see and be a driver of smoothing out those issues. And so again, this is why that's even part of the perspective of the conversation with you guys today, of how you can literally take one closing and it becomes the catalyst for a phenomenal business, right? What is one of the we call it a lead source? Sphere of influence, referrals, past clients, right? Past clients. Use your past clients. Stay in contact with them. Who's looking to buy or sell? Make sure they're in your CRM. Make sure they're getting emails from you. Make sure they're getting text messages from you, right? People will remember you if you stay in front of them, all right? So again, by delivering a 5-star closing experience, you don't just complete a transaction, you create a client for life. All right. All right. So we did a lot. We did a lot. Now, to Holly's point, this is the question I've been getting offline, email, and even at the end of every one of these, sessions we had over the past month. And that is how, Raycole, how? I understand what I should be doing. I know what I need to do, but I am a little overwhelmed with how to implement this, right? So we are launching the Purchase Ready Academy in the inner circle, this specific training, simple systems for contract to closing. Simple systems for contract to closing. This is a 6-week done with you coaching program. Done with you. So what does this mean? All of this conversation that we've had over the past 4 weeks, we're going to plop this into your business. I've had many of you, just like Holly, say, I don't have a transaction coordinator. Where do I get a transaction coordinator? How do I know what they're supposed to do? I still need to work, and I get it. So those of you who are already in the Purchase Ready Academy inner circle, you know that inner circle is on school, right? That community is on school beginning Thursday, October 16th. That is 2 weeks away. So we do not have a training next week. We don't have a training the week after that. But on October 16th, this 6-week Done With You coaching program will be our Thursday training for those of you who are in the Academy Inner Circle, right? Those of you who are in the Academy Inner Circle, Minnie, drop the link to the to School Academy in the chat. For those of you who are not already a member, if you need this in your business, you need to join the Academy. Okay. I put this quote up because I wanted to share it with the community, because it's literally super true. It says the grind is outdated. Working 100 hours isn't impressive anymore. Getting results in 20 hours is efficiency, is the new hustle. Simple systems is the new hustle. Using technology is the new hustle. Paying attention. Large companies are firing thousands of people because they now have simple systems based in technology that replaces the hours of work of humans. You need to learn how to implement in your business simple systems backed by technology that is going to replace hours of work that you would do. You have to. There's now a trend, guys, multi-million-dollar companies. There's now a trend, believe it or not. And because I said it, now you're going to see it. Everyone wants to promote how small their team is. Everyone's like, I built a $50 million business with 20 people because I use technology, because I use systems. So the whole underlying, not even underlying, because I've been highlighting it this entire time. I've been trying to tell you guys, some of the stuff that you're doing, you should not be doing. You should not be doing this. You need to focus on getting more business. You should not be following up on an escrow letter. You need to get more business, right? You should not be following up on an addendum being executed. You need to be getting more business, right? Income producing activities is where your focus must be, right? And so that's what this month of training has been about, all right? So you must attend. In 6 weeks, you're going to transform your contract to close process into a streamlined experience without the overwhelm. So why am I saying that? So like many of you guys, you're learning how to run a business. You're learning how to, if I'm correct, say in the chat that I'm right. You're learning not only the real estate business substantively, you're learning how to provide the service. You're learning how to, some of you are trying to figure out how to hire to exact systems, and you're trying to learn how are people doing all these things? How How are they closing 10, 20, 30 deals a month? How? They're doing it they're not doing it alone, guys. They're doing it with systems. They're doing it with systems. And I'm going to tell you guys, the value is in systems. Going back to the first day of this training, told you guys a couple of things. Told you guys, number one, that you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You can have a goal to close 10 transactions a month, but if you don't have a system for somebody to support you in that and take off the things that are not your highest and best use, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You get 24 hours just like everyone else, and you have to sleep. And even if you don't sleep, you're just going to run out of time, right? Now, with that being said, let's go to the other extreme. Maybe you're like Ray Cole. I don't need to do 10 deals a month. I can do 2, 3. Great. You can do those 2 or 3 and still have more time available to yourself than you would without systems. So that's what this is all about, right? That's what this 6-week training is all about. If someone had done this for me as an entrepreneur, as a new entrepreneur, when I was first starting out, I'm gonna be honest with you, when I was first starting out with my law firm, just starting my title company, right? Just starting all the different businesses, if someone had done this for me, it would have collapsed so much time spent, so much money spent, so much frustration, right? So much frustration. One thing I'm gonna leave you guys with, and I tell others this and I tell myself this. You either have time or you have money. When you're trying to build something, you either have time or you have money. If you don't have money, then you need to find the time. If you don't have time, then you better find the money. I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit more on something for you guys. What do you think acquisitions of companies is about? It's because they don't have time to do that. But they'll pay you for the time that you put into building that company. I don't have the time for that. Could I do it? Absolutely. But how much time would it take for me to do that? But I have the money to just acquire what you took the time to do. All right. So I want you guys to remember that concept as you build your business, and even in your day-to-day life, right? Cleaning services. If you got time, you got money. If you got time to clean, or you can pay somebody to clean. So with that being said, recap. I've been thinking about this heavy, guys, because I see it so much, and I'm almost like, why is nobody telling anybody like how to get out of this rut? So done with you. Because here's the other thing: if I were to what do you call it, like survey those of you who've been on this past month and say, how many of you have implemented this already? And we're like, I haven't had time. I know you haven't. So this is what's going to make this 6 weeks different. It's all implementation. For the past 4 weeks, you guys have received information. You've received information. You've received information. It's time to implement. All right. All right. So done with you coaching. Weekly live implementation session is going to be on the Thursdays at 12 p.m. Right. For those of you that are in the community, the link to the implementation training will be in the school community, right? In that school community, we're going to start including even more templates, more checklists, and more SOPs. What do the checklists look like? Remember, I told you guys when you say, here's what you can expect when you work with me, that's going to be created so that you can share that with your customers. Accountability, peer-to-peer support. And again, for those of you who are not already in there, or you've not checked it out, there is a $27 per month fee. 27, that, let me tell you guys, that's almost embarrassing, to be honest with you. I was playing. But here's the thing. Here's what I know for sure. When you pay attention. And I'll be honest with you, if you don't have $27, you need to have a different conversation. And you're in this business, right? That's nominal. That's just enough to make you say you're serious. Because free, anybody show up. Anybody will sign up for free and they won't do the work. And that is not what this group is. So I'm going to tell you guys that right now, because we will comb this community. It is about those who are serious about being producers. No freeloaders. I'm telling you that right now. I'm so serious at this point, right? All right. Questions. Should I take the other classes? You should listen to the recordings, but you should still participate. You need to do both. You need to catch up, Holly. So on YouTube, we have so many platforms. Drop the YouTube link, please, Minnie. On YouTube and in the community, depending upon which way you want to listen, are the recordings of the last 3 weeks. Yes, listen to them so that you're up to speed. But this implementation is now going to take all those steps and confirm how are you putting this in your business. Okay. I saw another question. You'll be out of country last 2 weeks. Yes, that's monthly. Yep. Because the community is gonna, at this point, the inner circle is continuing. There will be a topic, an implementation topic every month. We are now just taking what we've learned over this month and we're implementing. So it's going to be continue. We're not going to just stay on this topic. It's going to continuously be a different topic. Transaction coordinators is $395. Last week humbled you. Paris is hilarious. It will humble you. Oh God. Luckner, yep. All right. Oh, I saw some questions about the walkthrough. All right. So let's get to these questions. Would you do morning? Yes. Yeah. Maria. And Maria, in case you weren't on the last, on a particular training, I recommend that you do an inspection. Just as you would do an inspection for a resale, you need to do an inspection. I mentioned on that same call, if I show you guys the inspection report for our most recent new construction purchase, you'd be like, wow. Yeah, definitely. Per the contract, the walkthrough should occur the day prior to, and more particularly at the option of the buyer, Jerry, that language says. So yeah. I did the walkthrough prior to the seller. Ooh, see, yeah. I do not recommend you do a walkthrough. If you could close at the house, that'd be great. Just kidding. All right. Am I missing any other questions? You're welcome, Adrian. All right, let's see what else we have. We have all the questions. What else do we have here? All right. Looks like we have everything. There's the QR code for the YouTube. This is our Google feedback. For those of you who want to leave us a 5-star review, we'd appreciate it. Cost of entry today. If you found today's training valuable, we'd appreciate a 5-star review, right, on our Google page. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, raycole@purchaseready.com. All right.
Raycole, you took the Google review down real quick. I was trying to scan it so I can give a review.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not a problem. Thank you.
You're welcome, Lindsay. And the link is in the chat as well. Minnie just dropped in the chat. All right. What questions do we have before we go? We did pretty good today. I didn't expect today to take long anyway.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So you said for the inner circle, we paid to sign up for the class for the 16th.